Okay, everybody, welcome to the special council meeting Friday, February 16th. It's 11 a.m. Let's get started. First on discussion is the appointing hiring of an interim city administrator. Who's got some thoughts on this?
Well, I guess I do. I have some thoughts. Do we want to advertise for that, or do we want to just, I understand that I wasn't here and looked at Jerry, forgot his last name, Bonds?
Jerry?
Yeah, the one we contracted for zoning. Didn't he have city administrator too, also?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Should I go grab him?
So I was just thinking, I don't know.
Should I grab him so he has a,
Oh, and see if he
He's
would
here.
be interested?
if he's,
No, let's just discuss here for a sec. Slow
So
down.
that's just that's probably an easy breezy way to do it, but
if he's not interested.
Marcia,
Sandy, go
Marcia?
ahead. Sandy, go ahead.
yes.
do you know if he has, I don't recall if he has any experience like with bonds and levies and things like that?
Well, this will be just interim, so
I know, I'm just
most of the time when you do bonding, you have a financial advisor, Dave Drone and Associates would probably be a part of that, so they don't
Okay,
really do that, and I'm hoping that we get a city administrator on board before we have to finance something like that. Not sure.
I was just curious about his experience.
When I had asked Jerry that question, he said he was not interested and did not have strong year-end, didn't want to do the accounting aspect of the administrator job.
So one of the critical things we got to take of is year end, I believe, Shar, correct? And how are we going to finish that?
Can I address year end? I think we should contact our auditors and just get them in here and finish
I
it up.
did contact the auditor.
Okay.
And she said they would not be able to do it because they need to be independent when they do the audit, so they would not want to do the work of that. Mary suggested that we contact Abdo, a company that would come in and finish that work.
ABDO?
ABDO.
So Mike didn't have the year-end entries done.
No, he said he usually does not do that
No.
until this time of year.
Usually you start in January and you try to have it accomplished by at least mid-February.
Do you think the League of Minnesota Cities could recommend someone, or?
I talked to Lisa Soba from the League of Minnesota Cities, and she also suggested Abdo.
Okay,
So I got 2 recommendations for that company.
You didn't happen to call Abdo, did you?
I did.
You did, good, okay.
I talked to them yesterday. She said this is their very busy time of year, but she would try to put together a schedule. She did tell me it would cost between, she thought, $15,000 to $20,000 to get that done. And then we would probably have to reschedule our audit, which is scheduled for the 3rd week of March, but we'd probably have to push that out, more than likely.
So in the world of the private sector, if you can't do your taxes, and I don't know if this is a tax issue, but you file an extension, is there anything like that we have to do?
No, we would just talk to Mary, work with Mary on,
They would do whatever they have to do.
So
Right.
what happens if we don't do year-end entries and they come in and do the audit? They're going to provide you with those entries. They're going to want it done.
What?
When the auditor comes in and he sees that this should have been in 2023, he's going to tell you to make that adjustment, right? Isn't that would be the right thing.
I would kind of take a guess that when the auditors come
Well,
in, they want to
that's what auditors do.
They want it done.
Auditors go through your financial, and if you have a 2000, something in 2024 that was invoiced in 2023 and you got it late, they're going to make you do an entry to put it back in 2023. That's what they're doing. They're checking your books.
Well, Go ahead,
Chip,
Eric.
you had somebody that you were suggesting potential for interim city administrator. Okay.
Patrick Rousseau from Brainerd. He's
Okay.
interim down in Brainerd right now, and they hired somebody, and I think he's done here in a couple of weeks. He was also the interim in Breezy, and he was also the interim in Brainerd back in 2015, I believe.
What was his last name again, Chip?
Rousseau, Wusssow.
I've heard of that.
I have not spoke with him. That just came to my head.
Are you saying he would finish the books
I would think he would. He's pretty experienced.
with finance?
Yeah,
You know that for sure?
I'm guessing.
Okay.
Well, that would be worth a
Why have
call.
I heard that name?
But all I'm doing is there is a second one out there. I don't have a problem going with, what is it, EVDO? I don't have a problem with them.
Well, why don't we check with that Patrick Rousseau and see if he's available, at what price?
In contract
Anyone?
with them?
Okay.
Yeah,
Sandy, are you asking for someone to contact him?
right.
Do you want me to, or should you,
No, the city
Shar?
clerk
But that's,
should.
he's still in Brainerd for a few weeks?
I don't know the exact date.
We need something quick.
Yeah, we need an interim, I would
Quick.
think, now.
Oh, I thought he was available now.
Still call, but.
So Shar, the year-end books, you guys put them together. The auditors come in here for a few days, if I remember correctly, and go through things.
Correct, they're usually here 3 days.
And you got to be here to answer questions,
Correct.
give them direction, walk through it with them. So, Marcia, to your point is I think we have to get the books put together.
Done,
And I don't think we're to that point now.
correct,
So that's got to be finished.
right. I
Tom?
mean,
Tom's
normally
got
Mike
something.
has everything done. All of the work papers, everything is completed when the auditor gets here.
Right. So,
I think it's fine if you check with Chip's guy to see if he has finance. Just a couple other options. There's Clausen, Accounting and Pequot, and Aaron Stegner has done some accounting work for me. He's a CPA and he lives in
Crossley?
Mission.
Or something.
Yeah, so there's a couple other options that when you go with a big firm like Abu, they're coming out of the cities, you're gonna get billed for the travel time and all that, where there may be a local option here.
This company also has local people here, she said. They
Okay,
have local people.
so we should
They are
check with a few
also-
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's a couple options, maybe you wanna call them all. $15,000 to $20,000 to do closing entries, you gotta be kidding me. You know, that's half of what the whole audit costs.
They're
Yeah.
also familiar with our system. They're familiar with Banyan, which people have to be familiar with Banyan to get in there and do that work also.
Okay, but,
So,
so you, Aaron Stigner, you mentioned?
Aaron Stegner,
Who was the other one?
Chris Clausen.
Oh,
Scheisel or something like
Yeah.
that, I think.
And they're in Pequot. And they do some of the audits for some of the surrounding cities, so, you know, if you're just trying to get someone in here to do closing entries, maybe they can work it into their schedule before they get too busy with taxes.
my thought is it's tax season and they're all going to be busy,
Yeah.
but it's worth a call. So, Shar, can you do that? Can you call the three of them and? Or is there somebody else that could do that? I don't think there is, so.
I think the city clerk should do it.
Do the calling or do the
I can do
year-end?
it, but
The calling.
Okay, I'm like,
I can do it.
Sorry.
What's your thought?
I think my thought is that we got a recommendation from the auditor and from the League of Minnesota Cities that this is the kind of work that they do, but I will contact these other firms as well.
I don't know how familiar they are, the other firms, with what we're doing, so I get it.
I don't think there's any harm in at least checking. If we could save a few $1,000s, it might be worth it, at least to reach out and see if there's
I will
anyone else.
call. I will call.
Okay, thank you.
So then, when you call and you get some results, are we gonna have another special meeting to discuss it? Probably.
Yes.
Why don't we, at the end of this meeting, why don't we temporarily adjourn it? Why don't we temporarily adjourn this meeting so we can come back in quickly to discuss that?
That's
We
fine.
can recess, yep.
Okay,
That's fine.
that's legal. So that is for the interim.
That was for year end.
No, that was for year end.
For-
That
for
was
year
year
end.
end.
Patty, go ahead.
Patty Norgard, 37104 Bunkhouse Road. And I understand the year-end issue that you are working on right now. And so the next phase of that would be to hire an interim. And my thought here was Patrick Russo, and I'm thinking that Brainerd has hired an administrator now, but and he was at Breezy Point, so he's familiar with this area, and he probably knows what's been happening in Cross Lake. So
Is that good?
I think it's.
That he's got some history?
I think it's realistic, so that he knows the community that he would be an interim for. And my thought is, when you think of an interim, not to think necessarily of just a 2 to 3 month interim, but this council and administrative staff have been through a lot the last 2 years. And it might be a good idea to sit back, take a deep breath for you guys and for the city to reevaluate where you've been and where you want to go. We heard the comments on the results of the interviews, and I'm not sure that anything has really been done or accomplished out of that, but maybe now this is a fresh start. So now would be the time to perhaps bring in a League of Minnesota person or another consultant to help you take a deep breath, a fresh start, and, and finish this year on a positive note. I think that would be not only good for the staff and you, but I think it certainly would be good for the people you serve. And there was an old saying that kind of went around when I was going to state meetings, and one was, if you want to run the city, be an administrator. If you want to serve your community, be a council member. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty.
Patty,
Yeah.
Patty, it's Sandy. I get your point, it's valid, but to what interviews are you referring? You said, I know you did some interviews.
To the person that did the interviews with the staff.
What interviews?
Soldo report.
The Soldo report. Okay.
Oh, okay,
That-
okay. I didn't know what you were referring to, okay.
Okay. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, well, I'm not sure that I'm convinced we should pause for 3 or 4 months. I think we should start looking. But we don't have to be in a panic to fill it. We have to make sure we do the right thing,
I agree.
so.
I agree.
So, Shar, you're gonna check on those 3 or 4 people and we'll decide what to do with the finances. How are we gonna go ahead in the interim? We'll do that.
Dave,
Yeah,
should we go ahead and, should we post for a city administrator and just give ourselves lots of time to collect applicants now, or do you want to wait until after we've had an interim for a while?
I don't know. I guess Chip just asked, are we restructuring? My answer to that would be not huge. How do you guys feel about that restructuring part? I
And
mean,
we've always talked about a finance, so
yeah, we may split that. I guess, well, now's the time to talk about it, huh? We're
Can I
talking
say
ab-
something?
Sure.
It seems like we might be better served to just see like for instance, for the deputy clerk, we might get someone who can do finance. We should see what's available before we start deciding what different positions. Maybe we can fill the needs in the office without having to specify a specific position,
Are you saying,
specific new position.
Sandy, are you saying hire that position and see if it will evolve into maybe something better or bigger?
Well, it would have to be the right candidate,
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah.
I know of some people who are applying who have a vast array of talents and experience well beyond what the deputy clerk requirements were. So I just think we should maybe see, I'm just saying, instead of saying, okay, we're gonna do a finance and then we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, maybe stick with what we've already advertised for and see what we get.
But don't you have to have it somewhat defined on what you want that person to do? If we want that person to do finance, we need to put it in there. It's
Yeah.
not like we can be like, hey, what?
There is a job description sitting there right now
But-
that has been approved by the union and by us.
But that,
And all we have to do is bring the person in and see where it evolves.
but that wasn't for finance. I think that instead of a deputy clerk, that we should be looking at an accounting clerk treasurer and someone that has the accounting, and structure it as a city administrator. And then we're not handcuffed to the fact that our city administrator has to have strong financial background. We can hire the best suited for the leadership position. And then we have it covered. We have the city administrator, we have an accounting clerk, treasurer, and we have a city clerk. I think that's the best alternative to structuring the administrative part, is to make sure you have the finance piece.
Marcia, we've already posted and have many applicants for the deputy clerk. We're going to just tell them, never mind.
We posted it on Facebook, and we did do that prior to things changing, and we're not handcuffed to that posting. If it was just on Facebook, it hasn't been published, and you've gotten one application, 3. I'm thinking that we have a complete right to change direction and do what's right for the city of Cross Lake and not worry about, we posted it. We posted it prior to the severance package deal, and now we need finance. And I don't know, a deputy clerk isn't necessarily finance. We have a city clerk, that's not necessarily finance. So I think we should be looking at an accounting clerk treasurer, because we need a treasurer, accounting clerk treasurer.
Okay, I just want to say a couple more things. Number one, Shar had mentioned that she's partway to an accounting degree, correct, Shar?
No,
Didn't you say you'd taken some classes, or you're willing to take some classes to do that?
I would be willing to go there, yes.
Did you ever look into how much time that
No.
would take or what's involved with it?
I think we need it now.
Oh, I've got a candidate who's already sent in an application and has done a lot of work preparing for this. And I just feel badly because I think she might bring a lot of different skills to the office, including she can do some accounting. So I'd like at least to interview her, give her a shot, see what she can bring to the table.
Did she apply for the accounting clerk treasurer position? Then it's covered, if she's got the accounting.
Let's talk about the structure of it, because I don't understand it, I'll be the first to admit it. But to me, what I would like to look for is a really strong community administrator with finance background. Finance being part of the bonding, the budgets, the grants, looking into stuff, putting whatever they have together. Then we have the clerk, and we need an extra body to just help fill in the holes in the office on many different departments. Jen, we hired you, and you're filling that and helping that out, and I don't know where the overlap could be, but I think our planning and zoning is busy. I think everybody could use a hand with different things. So,
That seems like a simpler approach. If we could find a city administrator who can, tackle some of the accounting?
Didn't we just have a big I mean, I need to watch my mouth, but didn't we have a big argument the last 6 months of possibly going a finance direction, and now we're backpedaling? I mean, we've said we've wanted to split, and now it's, oh, no, we're okay with having finance and our city administrator. Which is it? Which do we want? What do we want?
Watch your tone, Jackson.
Sounds good.
No, I think, you know, enhancing the clerk is all I'm saying, maybe to fill into that position. I don't know. I don't know.
I think we gotta look at the big picture and what's good for Cross Lake and quit worrying about who wants the job or whatever. I don't know who these people are, but I think we need to look at getting a good city administrator in here and getting someone in accounting, and then, because if you get what if you get a city administrator that has no finance or light on finance? Then you have a deputy clerk, a city administrator that's light on finance, and then we're gonna be forced to throw an accounting clerk in there. It just doesn't make any sense to me that we wouldn't.
Well, I
go
just
with an
don't, I don't want to
accounting clerk.
backpedal. I don't want to backpedal on what we promised Shar. Which was someone specifically to help her in the office.
This will help her because it's going to take the finance off her plate. The accounts receivable, the accounts payable, the payroll, all that'll be taken off of her plate, and we'll give her more time for the city clerk duties.
Shar, what's your thought?
Now's the time to speak.
I don't know. It's not going to be my decision in the end, so.
You could.
But
Well, we'd like you to
have-
be a
right.
part of the decision, Shar.
You have your,
We value your input.
right.
I would say a city administrator with finance I don't think would be able to get out into the public. I think they'd kind of be strapped into the office. I think having both those positions as one person is an office person, and I don't think they would get out into the public. It's too much work.
What happens if we modeled the Nisswa model? They seem like they've got it going on over there pretty good. I mean, even though Jenny Max is both admin and treasurer, they also have a deputy clerk and a finance specialist. So they have it split. They have the finance aspect to it too.
But Jackson, if you want to go out that far, that has to be a 2025 budget issue. And during the budget process is where we need to lay that out, because where's all this money coming from?
Well, I agree, but I mean, if we're gonna hire a deputy clerk, and then we're gonna hire finance, and then we're gonna hire this, we're already out the money right there too. I mean, if we keep splitting positions and splitting and splitting and splitting, we're throwing more money, and we're already bleeding money everywhere.
We did put,
Why can't we
we did put 150,000 in there for staffing for this year.
Why can't we hire a deputy clerk who has finance abilities?
And just call it treasurer? Treasurer, deputy
Whatever,
clerk?
yeah, I mean,
That's what we were getting at.
I don't understand what's so terrible about calling an accounting clerk treasurer versus a deputy clerk and them being responsible for the financial part. To me,
well, how about
it's
a
just a
deputy
no-brainer.
how about a deputy clerk / finance clerk? I mean, we can say it, call it whatever we want.
Why are we stuck on deputy clerk? Why are we stuck on the title? I don't understand why we can't just go with an accounting clerk treasurer.
I guess how
I don't know.
I would be stuck on that, Marcia, and I don't know this, but the job description, and I would like to have a deputy clerk, to me, is one that could move around the office more, wouldn't be concentrated, have free time. Maybe that's wrong. But I think.
Marcia, why are you hung up on calling it treasurer or accounting clerk? What's the difference?
Because I
what
want
we
to make
call it?
sure that they have accounting and they have an accounting degree, that they're capable of doing year-end entries. We don't have anybody right now. So I guess I want to make sure that the city of Cross Lake is covered with accounting, with finance. The
Well, we're
bonding
the
and that
ones,
stuff,
we're the ones
that's
who are
done
hiring,
by.
so we're the ones who are hiring, Marcia, so we get to decide who we hire and
It's-
what they're, you know.
It sounds like we all have different ideas, but kind of the whole restructuring thing, it starts at the top. Who do we want to do, or not who do we want? Do we want an admin alone, or do we want an admin/finance? I think that's our first question we have to answer. Do we want to split that, or do we want to keep it together? And then we work our way down. And that'll show us what we want for a deputy clerk or a treasurer. What do we want there?
I would say that the admin's got to have some finance background. Now, do they have to be stuck at the desk doing it all the time? No, I would not want that. I would like the administrator to be freed up to be able to go out.
So, I mean, having some finance background, yes, I agree to that, Dave, but do we want it to where it was like Mike, where he was,
No,
okay, Aaron?
that's my thought.
I guess I'm still a little divided on that, but I do agree that city administrator with a finance background.
I agree to that.
Because I think the city administrator needs to understand the budget package and present, and that is finance.
Correct. Sandy, where are
agree.
you?
I agree, I don't think it needs to be part of his title, but part of his background, so he can help out, in some areas when needed.
Marcia? Same?
Yeah, most city administrators will have a background in budgeting and finance, but they might not be capable of year-end entries and all that. So I guess, do you want to be handicapped with saying you get somebody coming in here for a city administrator position, and you think, yes, they're the one, but they don't have that financial, you're going to throw them aside because you want to hire a deputy clerk versus someone with accounting or finance. It just, and you're accomplishing the same thing. You're accomplishing the same thing. You're taking the workload off of SHAR for the accounts receivable, accounts payable, because that would be, and payroll would be alleviating a lot of your workload, not a lot of your workload, but a good chunk of your workload. So we would be accomplishing the same thing, getting SHAR some help, because you're gonna take things off our plate, the financial part. And I just can't see us making sure our administrator, and like Shar said, if you think he or she has to go out into the community, there's not going to be any time. I give credit to Shar for making that statement that, just look at the big picture. You need administration, you need accounting, and you need the city clerk. So
it sounds like, oh, go ahead.
I do want to, I just thought of this too. If you guys move forward with that new election
Right.
idea, I will need a deputy clerk, period. And then we might need 4 people in the office.
And what if we move forward with short-term rental in town here? We're gonna need some help with that, too.
Right. And then planning and
blowing
zoning
up.
might need help.
So we're looking at if scenario, if we do this, if we do that.
That decision's going to be made soon, that election
Yeah.
thing.
So it sounds like everybody's on board with an admin with some financial background. Doesn't need to be necessarily admin treasurer, right? Sounds like we all agree to that.
Yep.
So do we agree that it should be split?
So are we hiring one new person or 2? That's kind of, to me, what it gets.
That's what we're
There is
getting
2,
to.
the city administrator and,
City administrator is replacing.
The other
Are we adding one person or 2?
So then do we want to call this new person, whatever term you want, deputy clerk / city treasurer?
Let me do a timeout here for a second. Tom, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here. Back when you were administrator, can you tell me what the structure of the city office was?
Yeah, I'll tell you my whole career.
Well, I don't want to hear it all.
No, it'll be quick.
Okay.
I spent 14 years in Grand Marais. I was the city clerk treasurer and utility manager, and we had a deputy clerk treasurer. When I went to Hawley, I was strictly the city administrator, and there was a deputy clerk and a office assistant. When I came here, I was strictly the administrator, and we had a city clerk treasurer and a deputy clerk treasurer. And that covered all the bases of, the clerk's duties and the finance duties, where I need to remind you guys, you need to have a statutory city treasurer. So this finance person is going to be designated the city treasurer. I gave you a letter at the last meeting, and apparently I went out to the public because I was approached by a couple people on, am I after Shar? And that's clearly not what I was intending. Both the options said the city clerk would be responsible for statutory city duties. So I'm not after Shar or her position. The second option I said was hire a city administrator that would be responsible for the administrator's duties, but also possesses a working knowledge of accounting finance to back up the city treasurer. The city clerk would be responsible for statutory city clerk duties, and hire a city treasurer / deputy clerk that would be responsible for the statutory city treasurer duties and would back up the city clerk. So, whether you call this person an accounting clerk or the city treasurer, deputy, it sounds like some of you are kind of in line with what's going on there. But what that does is, if you have an administrator with a working knowledge that can work with the bond council and, back up the city treasurer, and you have the city treasurer who, in that job description, also can help the city clerk. My intention of this was to try to provide you guys with something that would provide some backup. And every city I was in, we had backup for the clerk position and the finance position. In response to Sandy wanting to push forward because we have 2 applications on a deputy clerk, I agree with Patty. Just slow down a minute. When that was advertised, that was when Mike was here, and you had an administrator and the finance director or treasurer, and Shar needed help. Once Mike left, now that presents an opportunity to the city to look at possibly restructuring so you get some backup to these different positions, so that if you hire another administrator treasurer and he leaves or she leaves, you're back in the same position.
So Tom, the structure that you said when you were admin here, you were admin clerk with the deputy clerk.
I was the administrator, strictly the administrator.
Yep, right.
Jenny Max was the clerk treasurer, or Darlene Roach, and then Shar was the deputy clerk.
So there were 3 of you in the admin.
There were 3, and
Now
I believe, I agree with Shar, you need 3 in the office there.
What was P&Z? What was the makeup of P&Z at that time?
P&Z was, you had a planning director and 1 and sometimes 2 planning and zoning coordinators, or what? Okay.
So it was 2 to 3 people in P&Z.
Yeah, there were 3 in P&Z and 3 in administration.
So that's.
I feel like we're all kind of saying the same thing.
Well, but
You know,
right now, we've got 2 in P and Z and we've got 2 in admin. And we've been that way, we've been running short. I feel like we have been. We've been taxing. We've had some stress in the building, you know,
Yeah.
maybe we gotta own that up and say, that's our fault because we're running short.
Yeah.
So now's the time to look at it and say, where do we wanna grow or where do we wanna add support?
Yep. And what's different now, and this is no knock against Shar, but when she was promoted from deputy clerk to city clerk, that took away the option of having an administrator, a clerk treasurer, and a deputy clerk treasurer, which covered everything. So what I'm trying to do here is find a way that you get Shar help, she's doing the clerk stuff, but you get the city treasurer / deputy clerk to handle, and that would be your statutory city treasurer, but that position would also back up the city clerk. So like during elections, you know, that position could help Shar, or if Shar was gone and you had to work on the liquor licenses, you've got someone in the office that it's in their job description to back up the city clerk.
Well, that's a little bit of my, and no dish on you or anything, but when you were the administrator, that was 12 years ago. To how many years were you administrator? How many years were you here?
I was here over 15.
So, you know, it's 12 to 27 years ago is the time frame. I think right now, our world is a little more complex. You know, I think there's more stuff to do. And, you know, whether we do the short-term rental thing, that's gonna add a big load to the city. Somebody's gotta do it.
I don't disagree with that.
I personally would like to do that too. I don't know how the rest of the people feel, but I would like to see that growth. And then the elections, like we're talking about, that's gonna add another burden to the staffing. So, I mean, I'm trying not to say it, but I'm kind of I'm in favor of adding 2 people to the office as floaters.
And that's what this proposal would do. You'd have an administrator with a working knowledge of finance.
You mean
and
2
you would have-
additional,
He's talking about 2 additional.
3 people in total?
No, 2, well, we gotta replace one. I'm not talking
Yeah,
about the
right.
replacement, but replace that and add 2 additional.
Right, you want 2 people.
So you want a 4-person office?
Yeah.
We're throwing money.
6 with P and Z.
We're throwing money.
But in administration, the other 2 are planning, just administration.
Back when Tom was here 12 to 27 years ago, it looks to me like it was a 6-person office.
It was.
And so now we've been running for 10 years on a 4-person office. We're taxing them, everybody's stressed, you know?
That shows that they were overstaffed, maybe.
Well, I don't
We
agree
kept
with that
busy.
comment, Marcia,
I'm
but
just kidding.
Well,
I think Char does a
maybe
really
the
good
thing
job
to-
at what
to-
she does.
the thing to think about, if you're thinking a 4-person office,
Let's give it-
I would suggest budget-wise and coverage-wise, you start off, you know, filling the administrator and the finance position with a backup to the city clerk. And if you're still short-staffed, you can hire a receptionist position.
Perfect.
Tom, forgive me
What?
for saying you were overstaffed. I was just kidding.
Now we just hit, yeah.
So Tom, just to comment on it, your 4-person admin staff that you're talking to, in my world, it really is maybe 3.5 people with that half a person helping out P and Z. So,
It could be that.
You
Yeah,
know,
you
I
could
mean-
have a receptionist that, you know, works the counter for both P and Z and admin. All I'm saying is, right now, I would just go with filling the administrator position and some sort of treasurer position that could also back up the clerk. And then 6 months or next year, you can budget for the next position if it's needed. Get another person in the office and see how it goes.
how quick could we get a finance person in there?
We have,
I think we could get a deputy there pretty quick.
But
But that's where I agree with Patty. Slow down. You've got an opportunity right now. Just because you advertise for a deputy clerk, things have changed. When Mike left, that opened up the opportunity to restructure so that you get better coverage of all your positions. And I just don't think you have to, I mean, cities do that, you know, they can advertise, and if they don't get a qualified candidate, they advertise again. So, you know, just because you've advertised doesn't mean you have to go through, even with interviews. You could say things have changed, which they have, and we're going a different direction, and send a letter to the applicants that applied that, you know, watch for the new job descriptions that are coming out that will be advertised.
Could we get some temporary help in the office, in the interim? Because I think it's pretty busy right now. I hate the delay of, and I agree with you. I
You
don't
could
want
do
to
that,
panic and make a
but, you
mistake
know,
at the same token.
If there's an understanding, if somebody wants to come in, although it might be kind of hard to, you know, just
Train 'em
hire
in.
someone off the street, because unless they have previous, you know, knowledge or.
You'd have to
work for
do
a
so much
city,
training.
Char's gonna spend her time training someone on what to do, so.
Okay.
But cities go through this when they lose staff. It's just like what you went through with planning and zoning. All of a sudden, Peter left and Cheryl was going on vacation. Did the city live through it? Yeah.
Okay, Dave, maybe what we need to do right now is have Shar check with those two people, if they're willing to be an interim city administrator, okay?
what?
And then we come back, didn't we discuss that?
No, for the year end.
One thing at a time, okay? We're bouncing all over the board.
Oh, you're talking about the first thing.
Yeah,
Sorry.
aren't we, wouldn't it be appropriate to have her and then?
I only got one name for the interim, right?
Well,
just Pat-
Chip can give you the one,
Yeah.
okay? Tom gave you one.
No, he gave me a,
An
Accountant.
That's
Okay.
your end, yeah.
But, firm. And then let's set a date, we come back, and now we all have an opportunity to understand what the others are thinking. Give us a couple of days to think about this. Come back on, today's Friday, come back on Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday. Yeah,
Monday's a holiday.
Another one?
I won't be here on Tuesday.
okay. Tuesday or Wednesday, which is better? When you ask that, doesn't matter. But whatever works for us, come back on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then we all kind of have a basic understanding what either, give us a chance to think on it, and then let's make decisions on that date. But we recess this meeting, let Char do her phone calls, and we come back and see if we have somebody that we want to bring in that's, one is fairly expensive, it sounds like. Maybe we can get somebody cheaper that can do the job.
I did forget also that Sourcewell would pay half those fees,
Oh, really?
Fees or administrator fees?
accounting.
The accounting part, yeah.
Or does that add
I don't know. Abdo for sure.
So you got two categories you're calling on. The one is to do the year end and the other one is a temp admin, the interim
Yeah.
admin. Okay.
Does that make some sense? And then maybe we can come back and have a better conversation of it now that I think all of us have a better understanding of what each other is trying to communicate.
I don't
Sandy
think-
and I are on a pretty close path.
I don't think waiting till next week is gonna help anything.
But we'll find out if we can get somebody in here as an administrator and what their skills are.
But
We still have to
we gotta figure this stuff, yeah, we have to advertise and figure this stuff out.
Okay.
So the structure you mean?
The structure, I'd like the structure, at least everyone agreed on its structure today.
But we're the board.
I know, but
I
that's why we
think that-
gotta get to something.
It seems like everyone is in agreement, they're just calling it different names. I think Marcia and Tom misunderstood me. I didn't think we should stick with just a deputy clerk. I think we should expand the role to include a deputy, treasurer clerk or accounting clerk. Just expand it and advertise and see what we get. Because if we could get someone who could do the basic accounting, like Marcia said, and still help Shar, and then get an administrator that has some finance background, it seems like we could just wind up hiring 2 new people, a new administrator and then an expanded role of deputy clerk.
But I think it needs to be finance heavy versus deputy clerk
Sure,
orientated.
Okay.
Sure.
Chip, what do you have?
I reached out to Patrick Russo, and he said he's done February 28th. However, he has other projects that are in line for him, so he would not be interested until the fall of 2024. He did say interim city administrator, I would offer Jerry Bonzak. I'm not sure if anybody's
That's who we have right now.
That's what we have.
And, yeah, that's Jerry over there. Other than that, reach out to the league, but
Well, maybe we should take a recess and talk to Jerry and see if he's interested.
I'm thinking if we're getting help with the counting and stuff, if he's not interested in doing year end and stuff, maybe we should take a break and go talk to him and see if he'll contract for city administrator.
As interim.
As interim, yeah.
I'm fine.
Contract, I said contract, so
I'm fine with
contract.
that.
Okay, go ask him if he'll do it.
I don't think he's here. Is he here?
He's here today.
Oh, yes.
Right, he has no finance, correct. But it would just be interim, our finances would get done.
By the accounting.
So should we recess and do that part, or should we continue on with the structure?
Let's recess and find
one,
out if he's.
Go
can I
ahead.
say one more thing?
Yep.
You might need to create job descriptions for what you're talking about before you,
Yep.
We probably do have old descriptions that would just need to be updated.
Would you want TJ?
Okay, let's motion to recess.
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
aye.
For how long?
10 minutes, 15 minutes,
Okay.
5 minutes? I don't know.
Make it 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Who wants to go talk to Jerry?